Shadow of the ErdTree is a flawed masterpiece.
English or Spanish, the first to move is gay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another September special, today featuring the DLC of the beloved game Elden Ring. I saw the Steam review and it got me really riled up. Oh, you can't speak Chinese? That's okay. Just repeat this magic spell with me. 我爱中国,我爱冰淇淋. Much better. There is something about this review that really pisses me off. Maybe it's the attitude, or maybe I just woke up on the wrong side of the bed. But I want to use this review as a basis to take a deep dive analysis into the Shadow of the ErdTree. Now, fair warning, this video isn't going to be super deep because I'm not Joseph Anderson, and my brain is smoother than the chest of a rooster, but I will try to go as deep as my intelligence allows. Spoiler warning, it's 7. Speaking of spoilers, this video is going to have spoilers for the Shadow of the ErdTree. Now, Shadow of the ErdTree is sitting on Steam at 74%, which is surprising because I swear it was like 60% yesterday. As you can see, there is quite the discrepancy between the average gamer and the critics. Now, is the game actually that bad? Or are people just really fucking stupid? In this video, I'm going to break down the goods and the bads of the DLC and give it an ultimate rating because you know, only the opinion from a real gamer like me counts. The catch being, I'm going to go through this review and use that as a cue to talk about how the game does in that aspect. The music. I might have terrible taste, but saying the music is not memorable is just quite diabolical. Whether you like listening to something is completely subjective. Some people might like the bussy, some might like hentai game music, don't like the fire. However, using metrics that throws away personal biases and just talking about the music objectively, like how much does the music fit the gameplay, the DLC has some objectively bangers in that regard. The most potent example is the lion dancers. The lion dancer moves to the beat of the scene, and the music changes to the corresponding phases. In my opinion, that absolutely accentuates the fight to another level, because it feels like the boss is actually dancing with you, which wasn't even true for the dancer, so well done Fromsoft. But I mean, at the end of the day, music is subjective, and maybe none of the music in the DLC clicked with this guy at all. However, just because you don't like it personally, doesn't mean the music is passing grade, and you definitely did not need to use that sarcastic jerk voice to convey your personal likings. I'm sure many of us found the music memorable and good, right guys? There is one thing I agree about in this review though, and it's the lowest hanging fruit to pick: optimization. The performance of this game is, to be frank, absolutely dog shit. My computer can smoothly run all of the base game of Elden Ring, but it often dips below 60 FPS in the DLC, as long as it doesn't affect gameplay. Oh fuck. The worst part being, it's not even using 100% of my hardware, so this truly is just an optimization problem. So please, Fromsoft, set my PC ablaze so I may catch bail burning my extended family a gaze. In all its 60 FPS 4K HD Ultra OLED glory. It's frustrating too because it's always the big attacks with loads of particles that make you lag, and these attacks are normally the ones that kill you. And so in this regard, I think the criticism is totally fair, but the graphics, really? You really think the graphics is dirty, grey, murky and unrefined? Laggy I get, but are you fucking dropped as a child? Even though they didn't directly use the word, I think they're trying to say that Elden Ring looks grim and gritty, which, yeah, I mean, you know what happens in this game, right? It is a pretty dark game. You might even say it's as dark as Dark Souls. Ba-dum-bong. Now, if you are a dribbling toddler, you might not understand that normally, a dark story needs dirty graphics to match, unless the convention is intentionally reversed for contrast reasons. But really, do you really expect the fucking subterranean shunning grounds to be as shiny and reflective as Honor Londo? These media codes of color, mise-en-scène, and lighting all serve a purpose of highlighting the sufferings the Omens have endured. How are you supposed to feel sorry for Morgoth if where he grew up looked like fucking Super Mario Land? And all this is ignoring the fact that when the game needs to be pretty, it becomes really pretty. Like, if you don't think these areas are at least pleasing to the eyes, I strongly advise you to get your frontal lobe checked out, or maybe check your Baracus area if you keep spitting this bullshit out of your mouth. Honestly, this just shows your absolute lack of taste, your existence as a lack of waste. What a fucking disgrace. Does your brain get erased because you ain't base, you shit-faced toxic waste, poison lace, god and great intelligence displays, fucking dumbass. You should end yourself in haste. Sorry, that was just a bit. Those words just rhyme. Don't take it to heart. I meant none of that.
Oh, hello.
What the fuck? Now the story. Honestly, I wasn't really planning to touch on this subject, because I have no idea what the story is unless Vati Video makes a video about it. But after finishing the DLC, I've gotta say, this shit is peak fiction. Absolute cinema. Collectively as a community, we've been dunking on Moog for the past 2 fucking years, calling him various names like Moog Lester, Moog 445, Moog Stain, for being an incest kidnapping pedophile. But I swear to God, I could have never seen this coming. Moog was not only not the bad guy, it was Mikola that was actually the incest baby, and he was the one that kidnapped himself by charming Moog. So Mikola didn't get Moog-lested, Moog got Mikola-lested. So yeah, plot twist of the year. 10 out of 10 cinema. If you say this is bad, you're just objectively wrong. Pride Month, by the way. Thanks Fromsoft for representing the LGBT community.
No, but seriously, the story just gets better the more you think about it. I had one goal in mind, to get that cock, but my lord brother won't submit. So I sent my best soldier, the only one who would ever stand a chance against my dear lord brother, to do a suicide bombing attack on him. I then need a body, befit to hold the soul of the Star Scourge. Godric? A mere amalgamation. Rykard? Defiled and deformed with their god-devouring ambitions. Morgoth's unwavering loyalty would mean resistance to my charm, so there is but one option left. But I could not harness their body, since my transcendence to godhood required me to abandon my strength, and I am all out of viable pawns. Therefore you come in, tarnished, called into the lands between, chosen by Torrent on behalf of my will, unknowing that their path hath been steered by a hidden hand. The tarnished had served their purpose, but how will the tarnished see me? Enthralled? Bewitched? These trivial matters are of no concern to me. I have gained what I need. Together, we shall descend to godhood, ushering in a new age, guided by tenderness.
Unbeknownst to them, a pawn, the tarnished, discovering the truth behind the scheme, slowly but surely raises their edge against the very gods themselves. Maybe the means don't justify the ends. Maybe he is no fit to be a god. Maybe they need to be stopped. Yeah, that's why he sucks. Join me instead.
I'm no Vati Video, and this is not an episode of Prepare to Cry. In fact, I made that story up in my head reading bits and pieces of the item description. Heck, this is probably not even accurate, but it is my game theory, and by my interpretation of this story. Come on, bruh. In what way would you call this shit running out of talent? In fact, I think this is pretty good. Editing Mocha here. Vati Video has released a lore video. I am going to watch it after reading this, and it might prove me wrong. So, comment down below what I got wrong. Haha. I also really like how Fromsoft used player psychology to enhance the narrative experience. Let's use the example of me to demonstrate what I mean. In the start, I admired Mikola for all those good things I've heard about him in all of these item descriptions. My goal at the start of the DLC was maybe even to become Mikola's consort. That's why I sided with leader every step of the way. But through exploring the realms and by doing different character quests, seeing the atrocities committed, I slowly but surely had my motivation changed. I'd become a tier 3 sub of Saint Trina, a sympathetic man to Moog. I had to stop Mikola. The moment I read the secret rites scroll, chills went down my spine, and my allegiance changed more naturally than the rules of nature. A fight with Leader and Mikola only felt natural after that. And the whole time, I've been driven by internal motivation. No one told me what to do. I wanted to beat the shit out of Mikola, out of my own will at this point. It was honestly really immersive in a strange way. However, I do see the other side of the argument, both in-game and in real life. I could see Mikola heralding an age of kindness, and people thinking the ends justify the means. And I think that's where the design of the DLC is kind of disappointing. Some players might just not care what Mikola did. They just want to follow the fanboy. By participating in the DLC, you are forced to sign the narrative of hating Mikola, and for the Mikola believers out there, the only winning move they have is to not play. or get their heart stolen, I guess. Which really is a shame, since Fromsoft spent so much time building Mikola as a likable character. I just realized Mikola by definition is a yandere. He is literally also Griffiths. There are also criticisms about it being anticlimactic, and I actually agree with this, but it is kind of for the wrong reason. A lot of people had hoped for a new ending for the DLC, but a long time ago Fromsoft said that wouldn't be happening, which means this isn't supposed to be the climax of the game. It's supposed to be a late game stop. The ideal progression is to beat this and then move on to the Elden Beast for the real climax. If you think about it, it's kind of like Millennia, right? But the reason why people complain is because how much build up and hype there is. Us Elden Ring players have been waiting for 2 years for this. Of course we're expecting a grandiose ending with the DLC, but the DLC was never designed that way. It was designed as another pit stop on the journey. Plus, from the start, there is only one option: become a lord. That is the whole premise of Elden Ring. Every ending is some variant of the Tarnished becoming a lord. Even Ensback urges you at the end of his life to become a lord, as that is the only option a Tarnished has. And due to how Mikola's story is written, that's literally impossible for the DLC. He is way too stubborn to get that red dusty to ever give us a chance. And yeah, I do agree, the DLC does feel too grand to not have its own ending. It is a fundamental conflict between Mikola's narrative and the desire to make a large DLC around his story. But I really think there was another way. Like, damn, I want Mikola on my shoulders. Anyways, moving on. The gameplay. Now, the argument sums up to being: some enemies are too hard, and some are too easy. And the hard enemies are only hard because of their big numbers. I'm beginning to get confused. The same people who want easier bosses are now complaining that the bosses are too easy. But let's look at it logically. Elden Ring's an open world game, meaning that the boss orders are actually quite loose. That's why when you find a boss too hard, you leave and come back stronger later to beat it. As such, it is really hard for a boss's difficulty to be just right. I don't think it's anyone's fault that a boss is too easy for you. In fact, you should congratulate yourself. You've grown. Far outgrown what the game is expecting of you at the time. Don't feel bad about easily beating a boss. You worked for it, exploring every nook and cranny, collecting runes, level up, making friends to help with the fight. But if that somehow diminishes all your self-worth and sense of achievement, because you think only beating a boss after not using any of the tools the game has given you counts, then handicap yourself. By all means, no one's stopping you. Many people enjoy playing the game without summons and stuff, and that is a-okay. But to blame the game for being hard because you're not willing to use the tools the game has given you, bit absurd, innit? Same with harder content. If you can't clear on your own, find friends, summons, or NPCs, or even let me solo her, change your build, try different things. Do you know the definition of insanity? But if you feel the most proud of yourself by hitting your head repeatedly on the same wall until it's broken, that's totally cool as well. Just don't fucking hate the wall for not using the hammer that's placed right beside you. Oh, don't you fucking start talking about move intricacies. What the fuck do you want? Redon's moves have no nuance to it. Then what does? His moves literally require to use every single dodging mechanics there is in the game. And despite how flashy and overwhelming they are, it is way easier to figure out than Millennia's waterfowl dance. Redon never forced anyone to cheese him, my brother in Christ. You are the weak-willed one that gave up. As for you personally, my dear reviewer friend, you say you beat Redon in the old-fashioned true gamer way, and still you didn't feel the sense of achievement, because his moves have no intricacy. They're simply just fast and big and does a lot of damage. I would just like to ask you, who did you feel proud of beating? Because that sounds like every fucking Souls boss. Who doesn't do big damage, have crazy combos, and have reach that can clip you from the moon? Your fucking drunk stepfather? Also, crazy combos that need precise timing and a lot of inputs to dodge sounds pretty fucking intricate to me, no matter what your opinion on how bullshit Redon is. What is fact is that he is hard, and you overcame a huge hurdle. What, does your brain fucking discriminate against the feeling of achievement just because you have a grudge? Letting the feeling of hatred because something is hard overcome your sense of achievement that you rightfully got is fucking crazy. Maybe you should get that checked out. What, so you only get a hit when something is hard, but only exactly hard to the degree that you can overcome it with a slight bit of effort, and anything else that's a bit harder or easier is considered bad or unfun? Sounds like a you problem, to be honest. Have you tried getting good? My message to the struggling Tarnished out there is, use everything you've got, keep at it, and never give up. Quick in the log. While I am editing this, Fromsoft has released a patch to make the game easier. Unlucky reviewer, man. This is from the guy who spent 15 hours on Redon alone. I'll let you in on a little secret. I actually really enjoyed having my ass beat by Redon. Not because I'm a masochist. Well, partially. But it's because I really like him as a character. Seeing him finally being able to stand up straight and beat my ass was so exciting to me because Mike Ozaki didn't let me down. Redon was strong as the lore depicted, so I actually did find that fight enjoyable. Because the lore implications it had alone, he was the strongest and the chattest after all, so it made sense he would demolish me hundreds of times.
I can sense the weakness in your eyes! I can sense it! Your ass is mine!
I feel like if Redon was any weaker, people are gonna complain it was a letdown, so I guess Taco Mikozaki really didn't have a winning chance here. I also find it really interesting how Mikula and Redon's character are displayed using subtle gameplay details. Now, fair warning, I'm about to go into pure bullshit speculation over analyzing the area, so skip to this timestamp if you don't want to hear me yap anymore. In Phase 1, Redon fights using his own style, gladiator style. He's relentless, fast, and punishes you for cowardness. If you try turning your back on him, he'll hit you with his extreme range. You're forbidden to heal or buff when he's in motion, and the easiest way to defeat him is actually to face your fears and to take him on straight on.
This guy's got openings everywhere! I can see it! Fuck. I don't see it, I don't...
Like classic Souls fashion, but after Redon finishes his attack, he'll often do a cross swipe to back up, and his AI actually chills to let the player heal and rest for a bit, like a true sportsman. But everything changes in Phase 2. He becomes more ruthless than ever, with no regards in a fair fight, just aiming to destroy you with pure might, which is contradictory to his character. Seeing even in the trailer, he would allow Melania to gear up before engaging again. This adds another layer of reason to why Mikula and Redon are destined to be unfit for each other, and why Mikula had to resort to such underhand tactics to get him. Redon might look tough outside, but he is gentle on the inside, whilst Mikula is the exact opposite. He holds you in his grasp, telling you an age guided by gentleness will come. Then he immediately tells Redon to smash your heads in with violence, a complete hypocrite to his own ideology, which is a given since he abandoned all his love, and that's all demonstrated with just the boss's attack habits. Or not, I might just be a schizo.
What? Heart stolen? What the fuck? This is the canon good ending. You get an emote. I can't believe it.
Map design. The map is big and empty. Now that is just straight bullshit. The map is not big, and it is packed with activities at every corner. Now, there are some outliers I like to point out. I don't think areas like Abyssal Woods or the Finger Ruins are supposed to be populated. These areas are fundamentally not designed to be explored. Instead, they are atmosphere builders, leading up to their respective bosses or dungeons. And I do think places like the Abyssal Woods did this really well. I didn't want to stay in that place any longer than I have to, and that is exactly the reason why there isn't much there, because Mike Ozaki never wanted you to stay in the first place. Because if you sniffed around like a dog looking for a bone at every corner, I don't think there's gonna be any spooky or mystery vibes left. And you could counter this by saying, I don't care, these areas are a waste of time, and they only exist in pattern map space. Do that, good for you. I guess you must really enjoy horror movies where it's just one jump scare after another. Also no, I disagree. The map is fun as fuck to explore. And where anywhere leads to anywhere. It feels like a real adventure because it really does feel like you could end up in any unexpected area that you weren't planning to go to. Like take the Blue Flowerland for example. This is how you get to the place. But take the Red Flowerland for example, which is right above the Blue Flowerland. This is how you get to that place. Every corner is filled to the brim with surprises. What am I gonna see next? Who am I gonna find next? Where am I headed off to next? And where can I find a good looking headpiece? This confusing layered abstract map almost took me back to my Dark Souls 1 days, where curiosity always drives me to discover the next area, to see what's beyond this mountain, and where off next. Their argument is that there are too many random spinning stones around the place, and the trash mobs are too strong, which disincentivizes exploration. That, honestly, just shows me that they haven't explored, because if they really did, they would have found scatter tree fragments and the all new shiny equipment. Then maybe the enemies won't two-shot them. Also, the item placement and its connection to the story not being strong. Man, when I first went to the shaman village and picked up the ErdTree spell, and then the music kicked in, I kind of just sat there, paused for a few minutes, even shed a couple drop of tears.
Man, this hits differently. No enemies? Just the fucking item description. I'm tearing up right now, by the way. I can't believe I teared up because of fucking item description.
I know, I cried watching the Titanic. America's whole motivation as a character was explained in just one item description and its location of placement. And it is beautiful. Then you realize the Finger Ruins is right next to the village, and then everything just clicks. You get the picture of young America, strong-willed and filled with determination, stepping up to save her village. Her savageness and rebellion against the Elden Ring made so much sense when you realized that from the start. She was never someone who would conform to a higher power. Instead, someone who uses higher power as a tool to enact what they believe is right. All of that was just extracted from where one item is placed. And you tell me there's no relevance between item placement and story. Man, what are you smoking? Give me some of that. I also kinda find it funny how people were complaining about not enough smithing stones, and there's people like this guy. Really goes to show that you can't please everyone. However, there is a valid point to be picked out from this. It's that Fromsoft really didn't give the player any choice over exploration this time. You had to do it, or your ass is gonna get served. To me personally, that is completely fine. I even enjoy it, because I enjoy exploring the carefully designed, beautiful or unsettling environments more than anything else, and I'm getting hyper rewarded for it. Hell yeah. But this design philosophy is actually different from the base game. In the base game, you're encouraged to explore and get stronger, but it's nowhere as mandatory as in the DLC. In fact, if your head is dense enough, you could beat the whole game without touching the optional stuff. To a person who likes exploring, the new system is awesome. But to a person who would rather sit in Mogwin Palace all day farming ruins, so they can go straight to the next remembrance boss instead of exploring anything, this is bad design. And you would be surprised how much people actually do that. The people who before logging into the game already knows all of the meta builds and only plays the game to destroy the bosses as fast as possible. There definitely could be some design choices to be made that better includes these type of players, like maybe rewarding players with scatter tree fragments when they defeat a major boss or something.
Good job, my boy. High five. Hog Rider.
But overall, I think this is more player choice than bad design. However guys, this is an open world RPG. You do realize that, right? Have some of your brains been rotted by Ubisoft garbage so much to the point that people have forgotten that the entire point of an open world is so you can explore it. Even though I think that Fromsoft could have handled this better, I do think complaining about having to explore in an open world game is like complaining you have to drive a car in a racing game, or having to read in a visual novel. Speaking of reading, この番組はご覧のスポンサー、ネコパラキャットボーイパラダイスの提供でお送りします。Feel jealous that the fanboy isn't into you? No worries, just play Nekopara instead. There is no hard bosses, the scaling is very balanced, and you don't have to explore. The story is entirely spoon-fed to you, and there is no incest whatsoever. The best part? It's totally free. I'm just kidding. Or am I? Now, that is not to say I don't have my own issues with the DLC. In no regards I think it's perfect. Well, I mean, nothing really is. Except for Nekopara Catboy's Paradise, obviously. Fromsoft added 7 new weapon classes, but some weapon classes only have a single weapon. I am looking at you throwing daggers. I'm only sad because these new weapons are some of my favorite weapons in Fromsoft history ever. Like holy, the light great swords are so cool. Its movements just like my favorite character. End user license agreement from Genshin Impact. Some quests are also quite obscure, like unaliving yourself repeatedly with Saint Trina, but I guess that's just a given from Souls games. There are also spells that are just completely useless, which is kind of disappointing. I'm talking about you, Electrocharge. Some bosses are also just disappointing, not because they're hard or whatnot, but like come on, look at this Hog Rider dude. He looks like he's designed for a cavalry duel, but nope, can't fight him on horseback at all. Over 2 years of constantly berating Elden Ring as being the easiest Soulsborne game seems to make people forget something. Elden Ring is as accessible as a Soulsborne game can get. But Souls games in its essence are not for everyone. They are supposed to be hard. Ironically, it's the same real gamers laughing at how easy Elden Ring was at launch, now crying that the game is too hard. Me when game studio known for making hard games make a hard game. But honestly, I don't blame them. People have their pride. If they realize they aren't that guy, and their dreams of level 1 fist only no summon run is not possible for their current skill level, they're going to get upset. And to that, I can only say sorry. Because the game, as great as it is, cannot encompass every player's need. A game made for everyone is a game made for no one. And to the people who had suffered from this DLC like me, I just want to give you my sincere blessings. Because at the end of the day, due to how our memory works, we will only recall the good parts of it as the wave of time washes on. only the sweet sensations of achievement remains. All the psychological trauma caused by Redon will eventually be closed by the gentle holdings of time. And that's just like life. If something's hard, face it straight on. With all the tools you have access to, it might be hard, it might be painful, but in the end, only the sweet memories will prevail. So, whatever it is, face it with bravery, like you did with Redon. Or just cheat it with a bottle of cologne, that's fine too, I guess. What? Miyazaki says he's not opposed to porting Bloodborne to PC, so it's your fault, huh? Curse you, Sony! Oh my god, what good-looking headgear? No fucking way! 10 out of 10 DLC, what the fuck, 10 out of 10? Fun fact, Mocha likes pretty women. And men.